After the premiere of Leaving Neverland on HBO, everyone was shocked. The new statements that were made in this documentary broke down the image of the King of Pop one more time. And there are radio stations such as BBC Two that supposedly think about banning the artist from their playlist. However, this is not the only time that Michael Jackson was surrounded by controversy. Today, in Curious Sips, we will tell you all about the controversial life of Michael Jackson. The controversy pursued Michael throughout his life. Due to the mistreatment of his father, the young Michael and his brothers were pressured to work constantly and act, forgetting completely about his childhood. They could not even call their father daddy. They always had to go with Joseph. In another video on Curious Sips, we have talked about this terrible time in detail. The time which ended up turning Michael into an international child star, but also into a boy with the Peter Pan syndrome. Michael never wanted to grow up. As he confessed in an interview, he was never allowed to play, have friends, or go to parties. It was just work, and work. After achieving numerous successes with his brothers in the group the Jackson 5, Michael began a solo career that made him an international superstar. With his first album, Off the Wall, from 1979, Michael managed to be recognized as a promise of R&B. He got 2 Grammys and sold 20 million copies, but for him, it was not fair that he had not won a Grammy for Best Record of the Year. The tremendous ambition and enormous talent were rewarded in 1982 with his second album, Thriller, managed to win 8 Grammys and to this day is considered the best-selling record in history with more than 60 million copies sold. During the world tours that he offered in the 2 years after Thriller, Michael earned $130 million. In total, during his lifetime, the artist earned more than $1 billion. Not to mention more than $100 million that he has generated every year on average since his death in 2009. That's how Michael became the King of Pop, but it was also when the controversies began. For example, although the energetic dance steps of the star became an amazing trademark, the popular moonwalk was not invented by Michael Jackson. He stated that he had always noticed classical movie dancers like Fred Astaire, but it seems like he never mentioned Bill Bailey, who we see in this 1955 video doing the same moonwalk. He also faced other accusations of plagiarism in some melodies, which ended either way because they were forgiven or reached money agreements before coming to trial. The fact is that Michael was worshipped around the world at the age of 24. However, the tragedy again accompanied Michael in 1984, when while recording the second ad for Pepsi, the company with which he had signed a contract for $5 million, he suffered second-degree burns in his scalp and hair due to a timing accident. Michael was sent to the hospital right away, but the sequels forced him to undergo several cosmetic surgeries on the damaged parts of his physique, causing the King of Pop to wear a wig for a long time, and there were even rumors that claim that part of his hair will never grow back. Michael's operations began in the late 70s when he slightly changed the appearance of his nose, which had always made him feel uncomfortable. His father always called him Big Nose, and even the producer Quincy Jones, who called him Stinky because he always covered his nose. After the Pepsi incident, Michael broke his nose during a dance rehearsal. He had surgery, but he wasn't happy with it, so he had another one, which was only the beginning of the obsessing operations for Michael. People around him said he was fascinated with the idea of projecting himself timeless as a star image. Michael only admitted to having 2 operations though, one on his nose and the other on his chin. To make matters worse, Michael was criticized by millions of followers because not only it seemed that he was changing his facial features, but he was also bleaching his skin. However, Jackson clarified this, admitting that he was suffering from vitiligo, a skin condition characterized by patches of skin losing their pigment. That, in many cases, occurs after long periods of heavy stress. And Jackson was not living a very quiet life, let's say. The disease is more known and accepted today, but not at that time, especially in the body of the most famous star in the world. In 1993, tragedy again returned to Michael's life when a 13-year-old boy accused him of having abused him while they spent a night together at the Neverland Ranch. Although Michael spent a lot of time with thousands of children because he loved playing with them, this accusation raised an infamous legend about Michael that is still spoken of today. Although Jackson paid what the man's family asked for in a trial, he always pleaded not guilty. A year later, in 1994, perhaps to improve his image, he surprised everyone by marrying the daughter of Elvis Presley, Lisa Marie. But the link did not last long, and in 1996, the couple divorced. A few months later, Michael married Debbie Rowe, and in the following years, Debbie gave birth to the first 2 children of the singer. However, there are still many doubts about whether Michael is the biological father of his children or not. What we do know, thanks to Debbie, is that Michael only married Debbie to be the mother of his children. Their divorce in 1999 confirmed all the rumors in the press, and in 2001, his third son, Blanket, was born. Remember the incident when he showed the baby out of the balcony of the hotel with its face covered, which went viral? We all were scared for the life of the baby. Michael declared that this had been a mistake, but he had never showed himself in favor of showing the faces of his little ones. He was often covering them with masks. In this way, the children wouldn't be so easily recognized and could lead a normal life. The accusations of child abuse against Michael reappeared, even though in 2005 on the trial he was acquitted of all charges. Police searched the Neverland ranch and uncovered a few strange documents that belonged to the King of Pop. Things that only added fuel to the fire of the infamous story of the legend, making him leave his ranch and declaring that the officers had damaged it and perverted it. For all these cases and harassment of the media, Michael's health became increasingly worse, and despite the fact that in 2009, the artist planned his return to the stage with the musical This Is It, he finally died due to an excessive intake of various medications. His doctor, Conrad Murray, was sentenced to 4 years in prison for involuntary manslaughter of Michael Jackson, although he ended up only serving 2 years. The new documentary, Leaving Neverland, is opening the old wounds, but the legendary star Michael Jackson is no longer here to defend himself. What do you think about the controversial life of Michael Jackson? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel to check out our Curious Tips videos. So until next time, guys.